Hello and welcome to Masquerade Breach. I'm Blazewing.
I'm Catherine Cosplays, otherwise known as Krisha.
Marley.
It just got her name. That's all we needed. Which is a running on joke. If you haven't been here, if this is your first time, Marley will always try to introduce herself. For some reason, the mic will never pick it up. And I am Oceanus Veritas, also known as Cam.
And we're getting today into Season 3, Episode 3, We Are the Night. This is Sapphic Vampires pretty much summed up. What did we think? What are your thoughts?
It's one of the best vampire movies I've ever seen. And I'm dead fucking serious.
Now, what makes you say that?
Everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. They had the grand mistress vampire who was like the main seductress. They had like the one who loves being a vampire, loves to party, loves the lifestyle, and is just so excited to like start every night fresh. Then there's the depressed one, and usually the depressed one is really fucking annoying. I'm sorry, but literally in every fucking vampire instance, there's always one depressed one who's just really fucking annoying. And in this one, genuinely, she loved being a vampire. However, you could see the pain of her missing her mortality and missing her child. And then there's the fresh meat, if you will. The one who's brought in, who's seduced. And like usually it's like a young virgin girl who's like never been exposed to the outside world. But no. This girl is a fucking street thief in the dirty, in the gritty. And she is discovered to have this really special like talent in her eye. And that's the one thing, if you look at like all the different women that the mistress has like turned, she's only turned 3
That we know of.
that we know of. But if in like her hundreds of years of being a vampire, that is so fucking cool. How, like, I love how they turned tropes. And also, the fight at the end was so fucking cool. And here's the thing, was it 2010 cheap CGI? Yeah. Yes, it was. Did it still look absolutely fucking incredible and as good as the really expensive movies at the time? Yeah. Absolutely. So I am really impressed by this film. I want to watch it again so I can like actually sit down and like, you know, fucking pay attention and not be driving home from work. But I loved it. It was amazing. This is one of the best vampire movies I've ever seen, and I am so glad that I was introduced to it.
Marley?
Agree with this being one of the best that I've seen. And the point that I've been making whenever we do bring it up is gonna stand. The fact that I could watch the movie without reading the subtitles, I kept up with the whole thing and still found all of the plot points. It was amazing. It was epic. And I was able to follow it along and see what I needed to see in order to even make the opinion. And I would say the greatest thing about this movie, what they really hit the nail on the head with, was the emotional impact. Because most movies that we watch, we know that acting is acting. But in this one, when there was a tragedy, I felt it. Like the way that they reacted when they lost the first girl and she was like burning, and everyone is like for having their own reaction to it because each character had a different reaction. Those seemed so real that it put you in the moment and you're just like, what the hell? Like, this isn't something I'm going to experience in my life, but I know what it would feel like based on how they reacted. That I think is what made it for me, was the fact that it was emotional. It made you feel like you were there and you understood exactly what was going on. I also feel like the main lady was very Lestat-ish. And that to me,
Yes.
like I'm gonna create this word now. It's Lestat-ish. Okay. That is how she came across to me, was very much that way. And I can see where everyone was drawn to her, but I also see her narcissism was like extreme. Her obsession with being loved and being in control really spoke. And I can see why the others were led to her, but I also see how toxic she was. So, yeah, I feel like it was very on point and it hit a lot of the emotional needs that the movies should have.
Ocean?
So there's a couple of things that I found about this movie that I actually do absolutely adore. It follows to a T what a vampire movie is supposed to, and it is a stellar adaptation of a vampire, as a vampire movie should be. It has everything from the elements of what can kill them. It has everything that the story makes it so it grips you and captures you. It will tell the story without even the words. This movie holds tight. And these are the pros that I have with it. I have other things about it that also have its cons because of it. It has a bit of a double-edged sword. But I do absolutely agree this is a perfect adaptation of what vampirism is. And I think they did an immaculate job on it.
This is one of my favorites. Top 5. When I want vibes, when I want aesthetic, when I want mood, when I want that. This is a comfort movie for me. This is something that I get into and I just sink into every time. And the first time I saw it, it almost knocked me off of my feet because of how powerful it is, because of how well done it is. Krisha, you had mentioned that it was still, the cheap 2010s CGI, but it was really well done in that case. Even with that, this is an example of a movie where they knew exactly what they were doing and how they were going to use it. This is an example of a movie that they went into planning for that crappy CGI.
Can I say something?
Yes.
The use of, they took the walls and the ceilings that the girls were crawling on, made them into separate sets, and used the camera angles. That really, really old school technique. The second I saw that the first time, went during like the like vampire living it up like montage. The first time seeing that blew, like, I was blown away because I haven't seen that done like that in so long.
Just goes to show you don't need flashy special effects to do something like this right. You can use methods that have been around as long as recording cameras have been a thing, and it can be just as powerful and impactful. You get the ups, you get the downs. This is, for me, hands down, one of the best. And will continue to be so. I have yet to see another movie like this.
Absolutely.
You get, that high, that rush of something's new, something exciting, live it up, do what you're going to do. And then you get that, emergency brake. Oh shit. What is this? What have we done? What have I become? You get that whole this isn't a game anymore moment. Specifically when the guard's dying in the pool. That's when the emergency brake was hit. And she's like, I don't like this. She starts to realize what she's done. Or what she's become. What's been done to her. And at the end of the movie, when Lena is curled up in the police officer's lap, she is literally just crying. He walks in on her, sees her feeding from like the bottom of a steak container or something like that. I can't remember what it was. She looks up and the look in her eyes is just one of absolute pain and hurt and suffering. She's like, I wanted to see you one last time. He asks, what are you? I can't explain it in words. Stands up, walks over to him, takes his gun, shoots herself. The bullet pops out and all that shit. And then she falls down. She starts crying. And he sees this. And he immediately goes over to her. And he's like, you've got at least somebody in your corner. You've got somebody here. And that was his flipping moment. Mm. This is... I don't know. This was everything... The first time I saw it, this was everything I was looking for in a vampire movie.
Can we just give a round of applause for the cop? Because
yes.
he
Tom? Hell yeah, Tom.
We love the Tom. We love Tom.
Yes. Like, I'm sorry, but tell me Tom isn't green flag.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely no green flag.
Yeah, absolute no judgment. Even when he watches her shoot herself, he's just like, oh, I still care. I'm still here. Like, he didn't run. Nothing that she did made him run away. And when he was the one that was shot, she was still there.
The moment at the end of the movie, when he's been shot, he's laying on the ground bleeding out. She grabs his face, looks at him, and then she leans in to bite him. The look of absolute terror, and yet at the same time trust on his face.
There was definitely trepidation there, though.
I'm terrified of what you are, but I trust you to do the right thing here. It was just a complete surrender of that, and I am here for that.
All of them.
She
go ahead, Marley.
Cute. The way that you see all that emotion happening between them, and she's having this moment of, I need to make a decision, and he's like, I need you to make a decision, but I'm afraid. And then she just moves his head over and kisses him. It was cute.
Krisha, you were going to say?
All of the really intense emotional scenes where the most happened were all silent. There was no dialogue.
Yep. They pulled on the emotional cord, which is what I'm here for. It's what I thrive off of. What about you, Ocean?
So, I had quite a few scenes that were very memorable about this. One, Tom is absolutely greenlit. One of the things is because of what I like to call the quirky sidekick syndrome that tends to happen with these types. They first come out. I mean, we saw him running after her. She ended up doing the switch in order to try to shake him. And as he's a detective, so he's finding out little tidbits about the scene that most cops might overlook. Albeit bleeding from the hand is something that nobody should be overlooking. That's where we noticed that this guy isn't just trying to do cop work for a paycheck.
He's there to help people.
Yeah, he's actually there trying to do what he you can tell that him being a cop was a passion of his. That is a passion of his, and being a detective helps him do that. Um, in a way that this man and this relationship has, in a way, a lot of resonating factors with the human condition in a lot of ways. From the flighty flirt to when the stalker X or stalker vibes of the seductress watching over her, to where it was her making her choose between him or her, and that initial you either love me or I kill the one you do love type thing. That was something that really kind of brought out a lot of emotion, and it's a very visceral movie. The fact that you have to look at it from all perspectives, and going back through this movie and multiple times and put yourself in each of the characters' perspective and how they go through that, brings about an entirely new story that they presented. Same film, same scenes, but if you end up, you see where the story changes in the perspective of one of the other characters. And I think that's a brilliant move. I think that was a beautiful move.
Anyone else?
I'm just in awe. I really need to watch it again, this time like actually sitting down.
That can be arranged.
It was also, I'm going to say this, the pacing, perfect. It was never too fast, never too slow. It was perfect. Also, this is one of the first serious vampire movies where there were no boobs.
Yep.
There were no titties. And we didn't need titties.
It got that like shock.
It was great.
It got that shock and that visceralness without the nudity.
I would put that there was nudity in the movie, just not explicit.
It wasn't
nudity.
the central focus.
Right.
Marley?
I really like the way that people died. Like, there was just, I know it's a Marley thing, but each of their deaths played out so well. It was almost poetic.
Yeah.
We had
Like,
the guy in the grungy basement got exactly what he deserved.
It was like the emotion was there even on their faces. Like, it is so hard to get a good death face in a movie. Like, it really is. But the way that they did it, each one really had you feeling it. And it was so good. Like, it didn't need to have all of the pizzazz for you to get the point.
Yeah.
One of the things for me, one of the moments that will stick with me, is the guard in the on the deck of the pool. Not the one in the pool, but the one after, where he's laying kind of on the air mattress. Do you know where my buddy is? Nope. And then his buddy pops up underneath the raft, like just blood trailing from him.
Yeah.
He goes to run. They catch him. They off him. And he's left there bleeding out. And it's that flip for Lena. That immediate realization of, oh.
Where's the bad guys?
Yeah.
Okay, but Death by Paper Cut is really good.
Okay.
I'm mad about the book part though, because that is not how you keep your page.
I love how the book was For Whom the Bell Tolls. And also the fact that Charlotte was just like, oh, fine. Like, I have to do it because these idiots.
And you,
It's just perfect. And like he bled out, and the whole time like Lena is panicking, and Louise is just like shh, like, yeah, we're gonna call an ambulance, like shh, like trying to get her to stop. And then finally he dies, and that's when she realizes, oh my god. And she looks at all of them, and all of their eyes are red, and they're all saying like, this is reality. Like there wasn't like, they know what they're doing. Like it's not like a Lost Boys moment where I feel like, I don't know, because sometimes with some of the vampires in the Lost Boys, I feel like they're really caught up in the moment, and they're caught up in the youth. Whereas these vampires, like, yeah, they have fun, but then they're like, oh yeah, we're monsters, and we enjoy it. Whereas Lena's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that's why I feel like it's very much more into the Anne Rice style, where you have them accepting their monster very much like Armand did. Armand didn't have an issue being the monster.
Yeah.
That was one of my things that I loved, was when they hit that point. That's how I felt about this. I felt like a lot of them, yeah, they have their hangups. They each do. But you still have, your narcissist, then you have your one that's like, I'm good to chill, but if death needs to happen, I have no problem. Very much like, oh, this is a nuisance. I guess I got this. Like, you have each personality. You have the fun one who's like, yay, chaos. And then you have the newbie who's like, I thought this was cool. I'd like a refund. Thank you.
There is one thing I want to point out about the whole realization that it's for whom the bell tolls. Does anyone know what page she ripped out?
Nope.
I'm curious if there's a subtle underlining Easter egg with that page and why it was so deadly.
I have the movie. I can go back and take a look and see if we can find that once we're done here, if you want.
Because I would love to see if they put that much nuance into this movie. That would be insane detailing, though.
Not gonna lie, I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Right?
Okay. So, with that, what is your most hated scene of this movie? Let's start with Marley.
I'm having trouble finding a most hated scene. Like, there were some of the cops that kind of annoyed me, but other than that, like, there's not an actual scene that I was like, ew. There were just ones that I was like, well, this is cooler than that. Like, I didn't have anything that stuck out as like an ick for me.
Krisha?
The ending. I needed to see, like, because they said like there are only 100 vampires worldwide. There's only 40 in Europe, 41 I guess including Lena now. No men. Mm-hmm. So he would be the male vampires went extinct. So like,
they either went extinct or they were killed off, and I have thoughts on that actually based on another movie that I've seen, which we'll get into later.
I just like, I'm sorry, but this is a thing. I needed to see her bite him or give her blood. I needed to see that, and then them, I guess, run off into the sunrise or whatever.
You wanted the sunset ending.
I needed the conclusion. I needed to know what happened. Because, like, honestly, I really was expecting him to just lay there with, like, blood on his mouth and then just ash next to him. Like, she healed him and then died. That honestly, based on how Lena was, is what I was expecting, but just nothing but a gun just chilling there.
Ocean.
So I don't have a single scene or reference that I can point out that I hate. But I will point out that this movie was very predictable.
Mm-hmm.
The way it tracked was, again, for a movie that can tell itself without words, has the problem of being very predictable. And that was one of my big hangups about this movie, was that it is a linear draw the line, you know what's happening. The one thing I will disagree with Krisha on is the ending. And I will explain that added mystery of what happened to them. What are they doing? Where are they going? Is absolutely to the perspective of the viewer. And they did that purposefully. And I think it was a perfect ending for that type of movie, to give you, the viewer, the ability to fill in those blanks on your own.
Create your own ending.
Yep.
As for most hated scene, it's not a hated scene. It's just the scene that made me most uncomfortable. But I can't actually hate it, and I'll explain why once I get into what scene it is. It's the one I gave you guys all the trigger warning for.
Yeah.
In that grungy basement with the guy who was, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the purpose of that? Was she supposed to like lose control and
Yes.
like drink his blood?
She was
Yep.
supposed
But
she
then
was supposed to be
didn't?
his end, yeah, because she understands the value of human life. Even in that fit where he's trying to go after her and like subdue her,
Yep.
she understands the value of human life. That is her whole thing. That scene just made me highly uncomfortable, but the way they orchestrated it was extremely well done.
Very.
The set was absolutely gorgeous. Like, that set was completely believable. I'm sorry.
One of the things about that scene that I have a hypothesis to why it was necessary, as it was necessary, but the reason why it was necessary. One of the things is that what is the most vulnerable you can be as a woman, as a person that is of the fairer. It's in a position where you know that you have no safety net anymore. That point, and on top of it, it tackled a major issue that we have worldwide.
It's a scene
as well.
that gave the power back, I think, in its own right.
It does.
In that
it
moment.
Does.
And that can be a very powerful thing when you're storytelling, especially for a story like this. What was your most beloved scene of this movie? What was your favorite moment? Let's start with Marley.
Okay, so our happy or well, we'll say somber but happy to kill person, our middle lady there, our baby mama, her death was actually my favorite.
Why?
Because she finally got peace, and it's what she struggled with, and you knew she was going to do it. Like, she had no, that's why she was willing to face so many people and put herself in so many positions where she could possibly have been killed, because she was okay with it. And when she was walking into the sun, she had peace. And it's all that she needed in the end. She was okay with living, you could tell that, but there was always something that was going to hurt her. Her past was not going to let her go. And seeing her get to that point where she finally was like, okay,
I think
that's I love that part.
I think for her, once her daughter died, her mind was made up in that like moment. She went into her daughter's room knowing that if her daughter passed away, she was going to do it.
And that was her peace.
Mm-hmm.
She had peace being able to let go and just finally be free.
Krisha?
Before that, she was all about doing what needed to be done.
Krisha?
I just want to like talk more about that scene. It's just like, even at the very end, her daughter's last breath, the last time she saw her daughter was in 1923. Even at her daughter's last breath, Louise still took her away from her daughter. Even a century later. And like exactly what Marley said, like she was like, I'm enough. I'm done. Like there's no reason for me to live anymore if my daughter is gone. And like that moment where like when she was burning, she wasn't screaming, she wasn't crying, she just finally had relief on her face, like I'm done. I think the death also of Nora, the party girl, she couldn't keep running. Like she gives off the impression that she became a vampire and she's very much an escapist, very much into the escapism because she doesn't want to face the reality of her past, so she's a runner and she couldn't keep running. And then Louise grabs on tight to anything that shows her even the tiniest bit of affection and then rips it apart and kills it. And then wonders why nobody loves her. Like, all of them had their just desserts.
I think it's because Louise can't love herself.
Louise, the actress they found to play Louise, was absolutely fucking fascinating. Like, she pulled you in. Like, literally that, like, perfect vampire right there. Literally just, like, pulled you in. Just knew. Favorite scene has to be the transformation in the bathtub. And, like, the baptism. Like, she went underwater and came out brand new. That was beautiful. Like, how she would, like, wash away, like, the scabs and it just was clean. That was a really neat detail.
Yep, I
that
agree.
I was like, oh, like I've never thought about that. Like there was a scab there, she washes it away and it's gone. It's healed. That was perfect. How her tattoo healed and dissolved. Like that was amazing. Again, I really think this is one of the best vampire movies I've ever seen because it was so well done.
Ocean?
So it's not really a scene, but the dynamics between the characters really kind of what drew me in. A lot of it, the psychology of it, and the relationship tree and how it all kind of gradually and evolved over time. You see at one end where I can't remember the first girl. The main character's name is
Lena?
Lena. When Lena first comes in, she's scared, she's apprehensive, defensive, and this is where Louise is absolutely in her prime. She is the avant-garde, as it were. The one on the throne where she has two others that are right there backing her up the entire way. Even though they have their own contentions regarding this and their own ulteriors to doing things, you see the dynamics start to gradually shift over the movie. She starts becoming obsessive with Lena, and you can see how it's gripping her. She's watching her even when she specifically places these boundaries that I'm not into you like you're into me. She continues to go even with the whole understanding of what she is. She didn't want this originally, initially, and even further, she didn't want this. As you continue to progress, you see how the forms of grief that go through her processes of her being turned against her will. The fact that at the very end, you see Lena take back her power from Louise and just embody it. Right? Right. And of course, she goes right into the sun, and you just see it in slow mo, just
Yeah.
dust.
Yeah.
It was a.
When
Yeah, it goes along with the same concept as what even what Krisha had mentioned about the whole transformation. We saw the whole deconstruction, so it's a reversal of the baptismal of vampirism and how that all seems to happen to transcend and dissipate over that expanse, and you just see the whole butterfly, I guess in a way the butterfly cycle, the caterpillar to the cocoon to the butterfly at the end to right back to the caterpillar again. I think that's beautiful.
For me, as much as I like the scene where Lena kicks Louise through the wall and just that dawning realization of, oh shit, I bit off more than I can chew. And, that epic grab where she's hanging onto the pipe. There's a couple other that stick with me. One of them isn't necessarily a scene, it's a sequence of events. We see the seduction of, this new flashy life. We see the dawning realization of what it actually is. And then we see that moment of where is that line between what I am and who I was and who I'm supposed to be. Like, where's that line? Those of you that hang around me, that's a huge thing for me. Where is that line between human and monster? Like, what is that definitive line? And we can't actually answer that because it doesn't exist, which is the whole thing, right? But it's how close can you go before you actually cross over? And for those of you that know me, the one scene that gets me is the car scene. The racing scene. That pumping music, you're very much into the nightlife. It gets the blood pumping. Nightlife, the song that they play, is the best song in the movie, and they did that absolutely gorgeous. They could not have done a better scene for that if they tried. I don't know, it's just... Overall, it's the visceralness of the movie for me. It's the... They took that and they put it into every inch of that movie, of that reel. So, with that, let's get into the fun part. Ratings. 1 to 5. What say you? Let's start with Marley.
Oh, you would catch me when I have no...
1 to 5. What would you rate it? Would you recommend it? Like, let us have it.
Honestly, it's a 5 for me.
Would you
There was way more good than there was anything to complain about, and like I said, it had a great storyline. Well,
unlike Lost Boys 2?
Yeah, this one was up there with Hotel Transylvania.
Would you recommend
So
it?
anyway, I would recommend it. I would throw a whole watch party for it. I would even make popcorn.
I do have a question though. Would this be considered an honorary werewolf movie without the werewolves?
I'm gonna need you to look at the highway, find your lane, and stay there.
Krisha.
I'm giving this movie a 5 out of 5. I want to watch it again. I would recommend it. It is genuinely, I think, one of the best vampire movies. It represents everything. Everything that the seduction, like being enthralled, the vampiric baptism, like the sin, the like everything, the consequences. Like it's just gorgeous and I love it.
Ocean.
So I'm going to give it a 4.8 out of 5. And I'll tell you the reason why the cut of 2 point. A point.
What the
I'll
fuck, Ocean?
Hold on. Let me explain.
The fuck?
I'll explain.
Why do you have to be this guy every time?
Because I'm the Simon Cowell of this.
Oh no, don't give me a free taco. Let me pay for it myself. Ah, like what? Just enjoy the thing.
All right, let me explain why the 0.2 drop. Anyway, because I don't think that it would be the same movie if it was dubbed English.
But it's not, so it's a 5, right?
No, and I'll explain. Because this movie does not top one of my all-time favorites, and that is the classic Dracula. To compare those two would be comparing apples to oranges in a lot of ways. Where you do have a classic, and I think it needs more. I think this movie definitely needs more people to view this. And I think that's what it is. It's not popular enough and it needs to be more popular. So I do absolutely 100,000% plus the 2 points, the 0.2 point off of the rating be reinstated to go watch it yourself because this movie is worth it. I know that was a real long way of me saying, yeah, it's a 5 out of 5.
I just had a stroke. Oh my god.
Yeah, I had a stroke with the math there. And in the end, my brain said, you know what? We're just going to call it 5 out of 5. No matter what Ocean says, we're calling it 5 out of 5 mentally.
So, honest opinion, what is your rating for it?
It's a 5. It's right up there with Dracula.
Okay.
If not, a little better, actually, in my opinion.
Okay.
It just needs the popularity, damn it. People need to watch it.
This movie for me is one of my all-time favorites. It's comfort movie. It's visceral. It gets that energy going, the energy that I like going. It exemplifies vampirism at its finest. It gets the emotion to it. This movie for me is something that can never and will never be replicated. You will never see another movie like this, as far as I am concerned. Therefore, I am pleased to say we have our first 5-star movie by Masquerade Breach.
By at least 4 of us.
This is a movie that gets 5 out of 5 all around the table. I highly recommend you go watch it if you haven't. Definitely worth seeing at least the first time. And just enjoy it. Enjoy the vibes, enjoy the ride, and enjoy the seduction. Let yourself be seduced by it. That's, yeah. This is why I like foreign films. Foreign films do things that, I'm sorry, but North American films can't. They go places, they explore topics and subjects that a lot of films in North America don't know how to.
This movie specifically had a way of doing it that it could not be done if it was in English.
I agree. And if they had have put it in English, it would have actually taken away from the movie.
Yep.
Like, Krisha, when you when you said you wanted to see if we could find an English dubbed version, I understand why you said that, but I immediately fell. I was immediately like, you can't watch it like that. Like, your first time watching this movie has to be subtitled.
Yeah.
So, to be fair, though, I didn't even need to watch it, and I didn't even need to have it in English. They were so good at acting what was going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And at every red light, I was caught up as I drove home and watched this movie at the same time.
Which you shouldn't be admitting to in public.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But the only
No, she
person who
wasn't
give me shit
driving.
for it is my sister, who isn't watching, so...
No, she wasn't driving and watching this movie at the same time. No.
No, I actually legitimately wasn't watching the movie and driving at the same time. I was being safe. I was listening to it as I was driving.
Also, to answer your question, Myriad, simple. I am neurospicy. Numbers are my game.
On that note, I think this is a good place to wrap up for this episode. For this episode of Masquerade Breach, I'm Blazewing.
I'm Captain Cosplays, otherwise known as Krisha.
Marley.
And I'm insane. I mean, I'm Oceanus Veritas, known as Cam.
And remember, don't tell the Camarilla, but we may never agree on a complete 5-star movie again.
Don't tell the Camarilla. They'll make us watch it in English.
Don't tell the Camarilla. They'll be the challenge accepted for a new movie.